has been playing better football in that exact same state. I don't want to give you credit, bro. I don't want to give you credit. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to even mention it, but we have to.
Easy. It's easy to see.
I'll let you talk about who the wide receiver one is right now, bro. I'll let you talk about it.
Listen, JaMarr Chase, and I said this weeks ago, I would have traded Justin Jefferson for JaMarr Chase. And the reason why, too, is now like I'm firmly set on JaMarr Chase. He's going to be the wide receiver one there this year. The reason why this defense is so bad. Their defense is so bad. Like they're going to be in so many shootouts, and this offense is looking really good too. Joe Burrow looks really good. A lot of people were saying, remember the talks just a few weeks ago, how quickly things change. Guy can't pick up a water bottle. Look at his wrist.
I was saying it too.
Like everybody was saying, now look at him. And this is why, like, once again, you just stay on these guys. Just you believe in a take, you stay with the take, ride it out. Doesn't hit. But for me, like JaMarr Chase, drafted him a bunch of leagues. He was the wide receiver one. Honestly, the only thing that was holding me back from not taking him as the number one overall player was the contract. Like, I love JaMarr Chase. You know this. I love JaMarr Chase. I just think he's fantastic. I think he's one of the best right there with Justin Jefferson. And now, like, it's just a perfect world where if him and Joe Burrow, like it's always comes down to health. With everybody, it comes down to health. These two guys can stay healthy. I really do think he's going to finish as the wide receiver one overall. The biggest reason why, too, another big factor is just, once again, this defense. This defense looks horrible. They gave up, 40 points this week? Gave up, like, nearly 40 last week to the Commanders, wasn't it? Or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Yeah. Like, they're just bad. This is a bad defense. So they're going to be in so many shootouts. So,
and he carved them up.
And he don't, like, it's not good. It's not a good defense, unfortunately.
Here's where I'm going to play devil's advocate, which is where I always do. And this is a blow-up game. And I think there was a lot of this last year when Devon Achane had his 50-point game, when DJ Moore had his 50-point game. And yes, JaMarr Chase is now almost, because of how points work in fantasy, he's almost a lock now to probably finish as a top 7 to 5 receiver if he plays every game, just because 50 points is a lot of points. Or what do you have, 40 points this weekend?
41, something.
It's a very good sight to see for those who have JaMarr Chase. And I think this is another point too. Like, you can have a take in the offseason. And obviously my take was, I don't see a world where JaMarr Chase finishes as the wide receiver one. That's out the window now. He is an elite wide receiver one, and it's time to move off of takes sometimes. And it's okay to say JaMarr Chase has elite upside any single week. He can be the wide receiver one any single week. Where he finishes now, that remains to be seen. But he's an elite asset, and you say, JaMarr Chase or Justin Jefferson, I think it's apples to apples at that point. It becomes a preference. Do you want the upside that Chase provides, or do you want a little bit more of the consistency that perhaps Justin Jefferson provides for your fantasy team? So I hear you, and I have no issue with you victory lapping right near at this moment, or at least having optimism in the team. I have no issue with that.
I feel good just because, like, obviously there was a concern with Joe Burrow.
Yes.
And I feel good. He looks good. He looks good. And then JaMarr Chase, just like, obviously, like in the beginning of the season, some people, I don't even want to say were worried, just like it was obvious. Like the dude didn't, the same with Brandon Ayuk. Everybody was freaking out with Brandon Ayuk, and what'd he do? Just blew up this week. I'm like, these guys, they skipped out on the summer. They need a little bit of time to get right. Like it's fantasy doesn't need to be that hard. Like we've seen these guys be elite fantasy assets. So like, I feel good about him going forward. And the other big thing, like I said, though, defense just looks so bad. And I just think that they're going to be in so many high scoring games that it's going to boost his value up even more.
And these guys are asking for highest ever contract for receiver and 30 millions for a reason, because they're fucking good at football. Yeah. So this is the kind of performance you get. And then also there's another teammate that he has that's trying to get the bag that has helped him in Tee Higgins, and that's going to take a lot of the pressure that was on JaMarr Chase over the first couple games. That's going to relieve him of that, and we saw Tee Higgins have a big game too. So if you held on to Tee Higgins or you were able to acquire him for the low, congratulations, because you're probably getting a top 20 receiver at floor for the rest of the season on pure upside on a weekly basis now that he's healthy. So I love the Tee Higgins. Anybody that had the confidence and the balls to go get Tee Higgins, shout out to you. It's a savvy move. And in a time when everything looks like it's against you and he's outside of the top 50 wide receivers, you pounced and made the right move. Congratulations. What about this backfield real quick, Tyler, before we move on from the Bengals? Zack Moss dealing with potential injury here. Obviously, Chase Brown has looked a lot better in his workload. How you feeling about this backfield, man? Because Zack Moss potentially being out for a couple weeks, Chase Brown elevated role. This is what you've been asking for. A lot of the Cincinnati things working out for you, Tyler.
Yeah, so I like Chase Brown. I will say the thing with Chase Brown that was a little bit worrisome though was definitely the snaps and especially third downs. Like he was not playing on third downs compared to Zack Moss. So it sounds like Zack Moss dealing with a high ankle sprain. I don't know if that's actually been confirmed or if it's just like an ankle. Like a lot of the Twitter doctors were saying high ankle sprain. So, and we already know, like, look at Joe Mixon. The dude is maybe ends up playing this week, but he's been out. Like, these are just things that people are always so optimistic. Oh, they said he's going to be back next week. Teams lie all the time.
They've been lying all year. They did it with Joe Mixon. Jonathan Taylor was, it's not serious.
CMC,
bro, like it's
they don't
kind of weird how they've been doing these injuries.
And like we know with high ankle sprains, like we've seen it so many years now that just like this on average is usually like a 4-week injury. Like these guys are typically out like 4 weeks. So if it is with Zack Moss, like it's probably going to be about 4 weeks. Maybe he doesn't even go in the IR because the team's like, he's close, and then it ends up being 4 weeks anyways. And it's like, bro, why don't you just move him there? Could have saved me a spot. But like, I think this is good for Zach. Obviously, Chase Brown, because I think this is a moment for Chase Brown that's going to be very important, because if he ends up looking like, the guy, he looks really good, then I think when Zack Moss comes back, I don't think he overtakes his backfield. I think it's going to be a clear split though with him and Zack Moss, rather than like, Chase Brown playing 30% of the snaps, 35, and Zack Moss playing 65. I think it'll be more of a 50-50. So I'm not going to lie though, this could be an opportunity to kind of get out, because I think there's obviously a lot of optimism out there with Chase Brown, especially the people that drafted him or maybe just missed out on him, that, hey, this is now our chance. We finally get to see it, where maybe he's just kind of not that good in this role and it kind of kills his value. And then Zack Moss comes back here and kind of the guy again, which is concerning the first few weeks of the season. So a couple different angles, but once again, it's up to you to decide. I'd probably hold and ride it out, but I understand if people want to get out.
Yeah, I think, it depends on severity. I think that's the first thing is we have to figure out the severity of the ankle. If it's a no-week thing, if it's a 5-week thing, like that changes the perception. Because Chase Brown's going to get opportunity. Even if Zack Moss plays this weekend, he's probably going to see an uptick in snaps. So he's had back-to-back double-digit games. He's firmly in the top, 30 running backs. So Chase Brown, not the sexiest, obviously, play here, but when it comes down to it, like he could be an RB2 for you this week, especially with a lot of teams on bye.